and gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Glad you are here. Welcome to another episode of the Kristian Buddy Show. You know what time it is. And in today's episode, we have a very special guest. That's why the episode is entitled The Creator from Within, because I am speaking to another fellow creator. And to be more specific, I'm speaking with Arys Déjan. He is a writer, recording artist, poet, sometimes dancer, model, podcaster, and he runs the Who and How Club. So, for those watching on YouTube or for those on the video format, you can see that coming up right now. Arys Déjan, the Who and How Club. I've got his Instagram handle there, so you can go ahead and add him. And I'm just gonna cheekily promote myself. So if you want to leave a voicemail on the show and we can get back to you in the next episode, you can do that. All the links are provided. But before I introduce my next guest, I want to give you a sample of his music. So I'm going to provide you. This is the flavor that we're working with today. So we're gonna just take it back to a little bit of a chill vibe. Hope you guys can hear that.
Gotta think before you talk, gotta crawl before you walk. Keep the focus, get it poppin', my nigga. Gotta live, let it ride, let you go, let you slide. You know it ain't no stopping, my nigga. We keep it going. We keep it going.
How you feeling?
You shocked me with that one.
Man, I love your music, man. It is awesome. It is so refreshing to hear. Like you really put your essence and soul. And I'm just going to get straight into the meat of this conversation because where do you think the essence of Arys Déjan comes from?
That's a good question. First off, thank you for having me on today's episode. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it ever since we connected online, and I know you were touching base with my management and stuff like that. So, just thank you. I'm happy to be on your platform. And you shocked me with the track in the beginning. You brought me back a little bit, so I'm like, I remember that one. You know what I mean? So thank you. And then I like how you pronounce my name. So my middle name is pronounced Déjan.
Oh, my apologies,
So
Déjan.
No, it's okay. Arys Déjan, but I like that's a first for me. So that's a first. So Déjan, you could say Déjan. I'm cool with that. But going back to your question, it's just life. Like life is sort of like the drive for everything, and it makes like my experience is pretty much the makeup of my creativity and stuff like that, and just who I am at my core is really like it flames the creativity, and how I express myself and stuff like that. So just who I am, just what I've been through and everything, it defines my essence. And like, yeah, it helps me with the creative side as well. I express myself through that. So through music and poetry and podcasting and stuff like that. So I'm really big on self-reflectiveness and just, things that I've been through in my life and what I've seen, what I've felt, what I've tasted, what I've heard. Just, yeah, being Arys is what drives me,
Yeah, well said. That's like life is such a complicated and crazy thing that we're all in this crazy ride together. And it was funny because before we jumped onto the podcast, we had a few technical issues, and
Yeah.
these robots just don't want us to work together. It's just I don't know what you call it, God or God intervention or technical intervention. I don't know what you call it, but we're here now. So hopefully
The
we can
devil.
provide.
Devil.
Oh, the
No,
devil.
how is it that the entire day my everything has been working the entire day, and just when it's time where you need it to work, when you need it to work, and you know something's about to happen, you got to participate in something, things go awry, and you know you got to restart your computer, and it's saying, "Oh, system failed," or whatever it's saying. Like, what are the odds of it happening right when you need it? You know, it's just weird that that happens often. Doesn't it happen often to you?
It happens often, yeah. And it happens often, but I think it's a metaphor for life, and I think life will throw you technical difficulties, but life will also throw you challenges. And
Mm.
as a man, as a female, or a male or a female, or anybody else, it's your mission, it's your job to navigate those difficult times and get to the other side. And
Mm.
yeah, like do so in a
How
peace.
do you
Sorry.
go? Sorry.
No, like
No, I was gonna.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, navigate through those difficult times, and hopefully, um, yeah, there's gonna be no more technical issues. But yeah,
Well, hopefully. But I was gonna ask you, like, what does navigation look like to you in those moments where you like, are you a person that kind of reacts, like you get stressed out, or you're like, oh my God, and you might bang the table kind of thing, or do you stay smooth and calm and just trust the process? And like, what does navigation to you, like through those things, look like to you?
it looks like in. So I'm gonna take you to answer that question. I want to take you down a journey. I want to take you down lockdown, the pandemic, Corona times, and
Yes.
in this time in Melbourne, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So in this
Yeah.
time, I was doing a lot of running. I was doing a lot of self development, working on my own mental state, and in that time, I think running for me is the biggest thing, because running is it's just you against you, and when your mind wants to give up, yeah, you set a goal, you set a target for yourself, and you try to hit that target. Maybe you don't hit that target all the time, but every day you just incrementally get better. And that's what navigating the world looks like for me. It looks like just incrementally becoming a better version of yourself from yesterday. So yeah, that's what that to answer that question. Yeah.
I like that
So
answer. It's the truth. It is the truth. Like when it comes to even competition, you really only have competition with yourself. There is no one else outside of you that you are to compete with. It's yourself. You know, you got to become a better version of yourself as the days progress. You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and accept what you see, but also want better, and also recognize how you've come. You know, you could change, you can grow. So you're in competition with yourself, like every minute, every second of your day. But it takes a level of self-awareness to understand that, you know?
absolutely. And I think most people, or even myself, I get stuck in the mindset that I'm not moving the needle. I'm not moving at all. But that's because I'm so far in the game. I'm so close to the heartbeat of everything that I don't realize that I'm actually still moving. And
Mm.
then maybe I might give up because I feel like I'm not moving. But yeah, it's like it's trying not to give up. It's trying to have that perseverance, that mental resiliency, I guess, and that's what I'm trying to do every day. So, yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for us to like see things when we're so close to something or so engulfed into something? Like, how come we can't see outside of that? Like, why does it take like something drastic to happen in order for us to remove ourselves from that and look on the inside from the outside? But when we're involved, we can't see anything. We're so lost and caught up. Why is that?
I think it's because, yeah, we have that tunnel vision and we can't see the bigger picture. And we just need to step out of that tunnel vision for a moment and center and ground ourselves and just remind ourselves of the bigger picture, like what we're here for. And yeah, this conversation is maybe for people listening, it's kind of like very not very grounded in reality. But I like these type of conversations because I think that sometimes you just need to, um, yeah, you need to think in a different perspective, have a different perspective on life.
Mm.
Um, if that makes any sense. So
It does to me. Yeah, I think we all have our own kind of perceptions of what reality is, right?
for sure.
So it's like our perspectives and everything are based on our experiences in life. So reality could look very different to each and every one of us as well. So yeah.
I want to hit you with a controversial question, and I want to try and I want to try and bring this. I want to try and ask this question to you in a very respectful way. And I mean, no offense to you, but I'm a white male. If you kind of look at my skin complexion, um, and I'm from Australia, so I have no cultural understanding of America. But what does the N word mean? Like what? Like you reference it in your music a lot, and
Hmm.
I'm just coming from a place of curiosity, just purely curiosity. Um, what does the N word mean for you? And um, is this an offensive word?
And are you asking if it's an offensive word to me or in general?
Both. I'd like you to take this answer wherever you like. Yeah, yeah, to both, both.
Okay, okay. Are you awkward or you're good?
I'm awkward.
We're
I'm really
no,
awkward
no,
because
no. Don't be. These are conversations we need to have. These are conversations that we need to have. These are questions that need to be asked, and we have to have these conversations. You know what I mean? So I appreciate your question. Um, my response, I don't know how others might take it. Right? I'm speaking from my experience with a word and how I view the word and how I view words in general. You know what I mean? Uh, I do believe that like there are many layers to just words in general and that word in particular. We know the history of the word. We know the intent behind the word and what it was used for and who it was used for and who it was used by. And as time progressed, uh, there were talks about us reclaiming this word. And this is a word that we need to reclaim and have some empowerment behind it so that if we use it, they can't use it. And by they, I mean, they, who I mean. So,
yeah,
we could look at the history of it and we could look at where we're at today on how so many vast populations are comfortable using it because it's everywhere, especially in the music. And then you have the artistic side where it's like freedom of you express yourself however you want, just like a comedian, a stand-up comedian who's on stage. Like comedy, I feel, is like the last standing art because it's so freeing when you're on stage, being able to speak to other people and just you're speaking from experience. It's raw, and whatever you say on stage, maybe you can get canceled for it, but most comedians don't really care about being canceled because that is a true art form, right? It's raw. And music is the same way. So like, over time, that word has been used as a term of endearment. A lot of people argue about the ER versus the A. If you say the N word with an A versus ER, there's a difference with it, but I don't know. For me, I just feel like words exist. I don't think we'll ever be able to get rid of words. But it's the intention behind your words and what you mean by what you're saying. Like what are your true intentions when are you saying something to harm someone? I could say the B word on all of my songs and I'm bashing women. You could hear the intent behind it in songs, or I could just be referencing or referring to one person as a B. Will it have the same effect? We don't know. I could refer to myself as the N word, or I could say the N word in front of a room full of white people, and it's actually the white people who get offended, not me, or like not my black peers are in the room with me. So I don't want to give the people my what I think of the word is that it's just a word that exists right now in 2021. I think we need to be aware of the history of not only that word, but all of the words that we use. And I say it it's sometimes as a filler in my songs. Sometimes I'm referring to somebody. Sometimes it's like, we'll say it like, oh, really? Come on, man. But instead of come on, man, you're like, N-word, what? like it's a part of the culture now. It's like mainstream culture, pop culture. So I don't know. I don't allow words words are gonna exist whether we like it or not. So it's how we choose to use them and the intent behind them. You know what I mean? So that's my view on it. It exists, and we can't get rid of it. Do I get offended if a white person calls me that? No, because it's a word. It's just like if you were to call me anything, and it's to me decide if I get offended by it or not. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks for the answer. And
But you gotta answer that question too.
me,
You gotta
shit. All right.
you gotta tell me your perspective on it.
Well, I guess.
What's it like in Australia? Do you hear a lot of people saying it? Is it like, what is it? Is it a camaraderie thing? Like you hear comrades using it amongst each other, or what?
Well, let me think for a second, because in Australia, we use the word cunt a lot. I'm just going to be open. I'm just going to be explicit now. We use the word cunt a lot, and it can be taken in two generalizations. You can say, oh, that sick cunt, meaning like, yeah, this guy's a cool guy to hang out with, or it's like that effing cunt. Like it can be used in two connotations. And much like the N word, I think it kind of comes back to what's your intention behind the word when you use it. And for me, ultimately, I think I would consider myself having a pretty thick skin. So it takes a lot for someone to get under my skin. But I can't speak for everybody else. Some people may struggle with being called the C word or the N word, and you got to respect that. So yeah, ultimately, I'm just respecting other people. I'm just trying to respect other people. And yeah, I guess it's right what you said. It all comes back to the intention behind why are you saying this word? Yeah.
Can you find, like, I know we have done this as a civilization with certain, like, we've found real negative words that only have that negative, like, impact, right? Like cunt, for an example, like, it wants to be called that, but somehow, some way, just like the N-word, we have found a way to put some funny behind it, or give it some sort of meaning or some camaraderie behind these words that are really only negative. Why do you think why has that been a thing for us as people? Like, why are we able to just twist words like that and make them mean other things, even though they're pretty bad words, like the history of them? We shouldn't be using them the way we use them, is what I'm trying to say, but we do. So how have we been able to, why is that a thing of ours to do?
I think because humans are great at finding the positive in the darkness. Like, these words obviously have a darkness to them, but when you poke fun at them, and when you make fun and you make light of the situation, then it kind of transcends that evilness, and you kind of transcend that evilness. And because you're making people laugh, you bring people into a higher light. You enlighten people by saying the N word and saying the C word. You kind of, it's kind of a way to poke fun at yourself and poke fun at other people. And if you're making people laugh, you're bringing joy to the world. So I think ultimately that's what it is. Yeah.
Life is a dark comedy. If you think about it, it's like a satire, a dark comedy. It's like everything, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It is, yeah. it all comes down to perspective. I mean, someone with a mental illness or someone going through a tough time, their perspective on the world is going to be a lot bleaker than somebody who's woke up and a little bit more positive, naturally
Mm.
positive. So yeah, perspective is a
Or
massive thing.
even like let's say my grandmother who comes from a different time, she was born in the 40s, so I could never say that word around her. And not because she has a different understanding of the word and the history behind it, you know what I mean? So I could never say the N-word around her because I would get a slap in the face, right? Or if she heard my music, she would be offended. She would be like, hey, why are you using this? But she's not in the streets like we are. She's not a part of the lingo, the new lingos that we've created amongst like during the times of life, you know what I mean? And like you said, we're able to turn these evil things into comedy and into comedic ways of using these words that are really used to be and are still used to hurt people. But English exists, words exist, and we'll never be able to get rid of them. There was a time where, like, I think Oprah and other public figures, they were like boycotting the word and trying to get rid of the word. But once it's in the ether, it exists. So how do we use it? How do we decide? Are we going to define us for centuries on centuries, or just look at it as a word and be like, okay, we're at a difference of life right now, and no one's using it. People are still using it with ill intent, but not in the same way as it was back in the day. Not to that severity. So English words in general fuck people up. Can I swear on this? I can swear, right?
Yeah, you can swear. I've already
Oh yeah,
sworn.
we said
We already said the
cunt.
C
Yeah,
word.
sorry.
Yeah, we said
Yeah,
cunt.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's
The
the worst.
C
That's one of the worst words you could say. So. All
We
right.
should call the episode that, like in parentheses, like words, Yeah.
All right. Well, kind of switching gears now. We've actually got a question from our one of the biggest fans of the show, Jan Lizinski. I think this is directed to you, Arys. I don't know if you can see this question.
Yeah.
What's on your wall behind you? The squares. So for those for
They,
the for those. I just want to so for those listening, we've got a question. Aries has got some squares on the back of his backdrop. Um, so yeah, very well noticed, Jan. Is there any meaning to these? Oh yeah, maybe you can. They're like quotes. I think it's like.
they are quotes, yes. They are not mine though. They are quotes. I'm actually in an office right now, so the staff members that work where I'm sitting right now, they have this is sort of like their lounge area, and there are some positive messaging and quotes and stuff that they placed above. So I thought it would be cool to sit here to just have this positivity behind me, but I have not contributed to this wall, so I can't take credit. But yeah,
Well,
I'm
you
at
can't
I'm
put.
at work. I'm at work right now, actually. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say you can't really put any excerpts from today's show on the back of that wall because I don't know, maybe people might think it's not that positive, but
Not
um
this, no, not yet.
not
Anyway, we'll
yet,
see
not
how the rest of it goes. Yeah.
um all right, well let's kind of switch into something more positive, more
Wait.
top.
I wanna ask about Jan. Is Jan from Australia too?
Jan's from Australia. Yes, he is.
Oh,
He's got another
Shout out to Jan.
another quote here. Words are like weapons; they can wound sometimes. Very true. Very very true. And
Very true.
yeah, he's one of
But
the
it's
biggest fans
subjective.
of Sorry,
Yeah. No. Go.
I was gonna say Jan. You got a shout out to Jan. He's one of the biggest fans of the shows, and he's always supporting me. So yep, I'm sending support right back at him. So yeah, that's all. So
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for your question.
All right, and
But words are like weapons. For sure, they've always been used as weapons, but it's subjective. Like going back to like the comedic, like the stand-up example that I gave. Like imagine being a stand-up comedian and you have like 200 people in front of you that you're performing for. And what you're saying makes about 90% of those people laugh, but there's that 10% that are just truly offended. Do your words become weapons then? Because your intent was really just to make people laugh. But the people internalizing and receiving those words, they're getting offended. They think that you shouldn't be saying those things because they trigger something inside of you, whether it's a memory or a belief, or whatever, and then they're the ones who cancel you, quote unquote, right after that show. So it's really the intent behind those words and how we use them. You know what I mean? But even when you're using them in a positive manner, you're still gonna have those groups of people that might not appreciate what you're saying or how you're saying it. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
That is so true. Yeah, I just want to play devil's advocate for a little bit, and I mean, what if, like, let's say, like, what if Gandhi became a stand-up comedian, and he started ranting about the N word and the C word, and he was really, really offensive, but outside the outside the stand-up, he's obviously Gandhi. He's giving to children, he's giving to the less fortunate. Like, do we judge him? Do we judge him for that 30 minutes on the stage, or do we judge him for his lifetime achievement? This was a great man. Like, why are we judging him for 30 minutes of just I mean, he would never do it, obviously, but like, I'm just kind of trying
But
to.
people still hated Gandhi and he wasn't a comedian. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he still did so positive and people still found ways to not appreciate him or like him or roll with his message and what he represented. So, the average Joe that's standing on stage giving 30 minutes of performance time, like you're really damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's like the 80-20 rule. You're going to have 80% of people that are going to like your stuff. And there's going to be that 20% that just don't. And we have to be able to accept it. We have to be fearless in our performance, in our art, true art forms. Like your voice is your voice, Kristian. Like you should be able to say whatever you want because you're an individual. You created your own platform. You have a brain. You have a set of eyes, bleed just like I do, hopefully, like you could be a demon or a vampire. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, if you're a human being and I'm a human being, your rights, you have a voice, you have a tongue. Like you're allowed to have a perspective and to say what you want. But when people are starting to hear what you're saying and they have their own perspectives, their brains, their eyes, their mouths, they're going to speak up against that if they disagree. We have to be okay with that, especially being public figures on these platforms. Not everyone's going to agree. We can't be perfect podcasters. Like people are going to dislike our stuff. That's why they rate it 1 star sometimes, like they rate sometimes. That's why they unfollow us on Instagram, like not everyone's going to like what we say or do. So we have to be okay with that. Hopefully Gandhi was okay with it too.
Yeah, Gandhi was cool. He was yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have been okay with it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, like I don't know. It's just kind of, yeah, you got to be you. Yeah, you're right. You just got to, at the end of the day, you just have to be you. Like who else are you going to be, And then if you want to if you have to conform to all these people, then you're not going to be living an authentic life. And then you're going to wake up one day and you're going to just think, shit, what have who am I? I'm trying to please everybody. It's like, yeah.
It's scary. That's scary.
I mean,
imagine like living your life for like others, like defining yourself based on what others like say of you or view you as or want you to be. Like
yeah,
that's scary. A lot of us are living like that in life,
to be honest,
Yeah.
So,
Go,
sorry,
go.
I was gonna say, like, to be honest, I lived that life with my family. You know, maybe my brothers specifically. You know, I'm always trying to kind of, I guess, live in their shadow. Or, I don't know, like, I guess my brothers care for me, and they want the best for me, and they're trying to maybe steer me in certain directions, but I don't want to go into that direction. So, like, yeah, I'm trying to maybe. I think maybe 10 years ago, I would probably try and say things to please them and try and appease them. But now, maybe look now, I'm 30 years old, and now I'm looking back, like I feel like I can be me now. Like I'm happy to. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and it's a very liberating, very powerful thing to be in. So
Mm.
yeah,
Do they accept, and it doesn't matter if you care about this or not, because you're you now. Finally, you're able to just be yourself. You're free. Do they accept the version of you that you are now?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, I believe so. I believe so. But I,
Do you? Do you?
yeah, fuck yeah.
So what was that whole thing about wanting to, like, sort of get, was it like a validation thing? You wanted their validation, you wanted to
Yeah,
be
because
accepted by them and all of that.
yeah, because I valued their opinion and I valued their word, and if I said anything that kind of went against their word, I'd be like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Oh, I've got to think. Oh, what am I going to say now?" And you're in double think, and when you're double thinking what you're going to say, that's a really bad place to be in. When you double think, triple think, like, "Oh shit,
Mm.
uh, is this gonna?" Yeah. So it's just so much easier just to be yourself, and it takes more courage, but I think ultimately you end up being happier for it if you just be yourself. So yeah,
I agree with you. It's true freedom. It's true
it is.
freedom when you kind of unchain yourself from, like, not being your true self, when you finally, like, get into that and mold yourself into that, and you can look at yourself and be happy with who you are, and, like, hey, like, this is who I am, and this is who I'm ready to be. I'm ready to be myself, my true self, fearlessly too, and not to appease, like, I've gone through that as well with family and stuff, wanting to hear those words, like, I'm proud of you, and pushing myself hard to hopefully hear that from somebody, but you might not. You got to be okay with not receiving that. You got to be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a phase. Some of us, I think, in our 20s, like in our teens and our 20s, it's a phase. But when we get to, like, the 30s, I think we're okay with who we are, and we're kind of accepting of it, and no one can really tell us anything. We kind of see the bullshit from, like, a mile away before it even comes. We just have a different lens once you get into, like, the 30s, if we're talking about age, or this stage of life. Some people never get it. Some people are in their 40s or 50s, and they still they're living a lie. They're living their lives for others, and they have not embraced their true selves. That's being trapped. That's the true definition of trapping yourself and chaining yourself to, like, a wall that you'll never be free of. So we have to find ways to be ourselves, I believe. Yeah, that's true freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Do you believe in God?
I believe in God, yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think we all have our own version of what that looks like or is in our own minds and hearts, and based on our experiences, I think we all experience God uh, in our own own unique and individual ways. And I think that's okay. You know, I think that's another thing we need to start speaking about, because you and I, we don't have the same vision of what God is in our minds. We just don't. And it's okay. That doesn't mean you believe more than I do or vice versa. We're individuals for a reason, you know, like we have our own. When we close our eyes, we see things different. We see very different things. We can form things in our mind very differently. And whatever God is, you know, or if it's a he, she, they, whoever, you know, it might look different, a bit different to both of us, but I believe in a higher power. I just happen to call it God sometimes, you know, but I don't necessarily think God is the name. I think that's just the title, you know. But it's like for lack of a better term, we call it God because we don't really know the actual name per se. But yeah, I think we have God in us, you know, and we're gods. We're not God, but we are gods. We're made in that image. We have a creator. Just some of us aren't as connected to our creator as others. So yeah. Do you believe?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I pray every night. That's part of my before I sleep. I always send the pray. I always pray to God, and I pray as a part for my mental solitude. I pray for mental solidarity, and what I mean by that is I send peace and love out to my family. I send peace and love out to my friends, and I prepare myself for the next day. So
Mm.
it's like I'm like kind of it's like a message to myself, and in prayer form. And yeah, I'm praying to something. I'm praying to somebody. I know somebody's listening to me, and some people might say that that's unscientific, that's unrational, that just doesn't exist. But I believe I feel through my heart, and I feel through my heart. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care. But look, I'm just going to do it anyway, because I it's good to feel with your heart sometimes, and it's good to be in that heart space. So that's where I'm coming from. So
Mm.
yeah.
You're not wrong. Your heart tells you that you're not wrong, so it's right. You know, your gut. Like I feel like our guts are like our connection to the higher self and the higher above. Like whenever we're questioning something or we need an answer or a sign, and our gut is telling us something, like that's God. No, I feel that's like the universe, or sorry, our creator to us. So I pray as well, you know, and I meditate, and it helps me center myself, as hard as it is at times, because throughout your days you're just so busy, you know, you're pulled in different directions on a daily basis, dealing with other human beings that have their own unique personality. Sometimes you forget to deal with your own personality, you know. So at night when it's just me, yeah, I pray. I talk out loud, but praying has kind of transformed into like me just speaking out loud. You know, I'll walk in my apartment and just talk out loud. And that's my form of prayer. Or like before bed, I'll have a conversation just out loud, you know. It's not like what praying used to be for me, when I would just like kneel down and put my hands together. I pray differently now. So but prayer is important. And when I wake up, the first thing I say is just thank you, God. Thank you for life. You know, thank you for another day. Like to wake up again, like it makes you smile. Like people are not waking up. So if you're here tomorrow, do something with that, you know, like that's a good thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So thankful, so grateful.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. So powerful, yeah. And it's interesting because I'm going to go on a weird tangent here, but I was watching there's a thing on Netflix about aliens. And I'm not sure if you've watched it, but I don't know. I'm a fan of aliens. My inner nerd, my inner geek kind of I love aliens. I believe in aliens as well. Like I'm just going to put it out there. Um and I think like and there's this theory that our DNA may have aliens may have intervened in our DNA and actually created humankind. And that's what this whole Netflix documentary alludes to. I don't know why I brought that up, but I just think that there is life out. I think there is life out there, absolutely, 100%. And I think if life came down to planet Earth, and it would kind of equalize our problems and um, just bring a little bit more peace, because yeah, we're not that special. It would kind of
Mm,
ground us a little bit more, I guess.
mm.
Yeah.
How ignorant would we be to think that we're the only ones that exist? You know what I mean? Like, come on, it's unknown. A lot of the things outside of our globe is unknown. You know, the sea, whatever's in the sea, is unknown. Like, there's so many areas on this planet that have been unexplored. So outside of this sphere, this globe that we're all habitating on, like, or inhabiting, sorry, like, who knows what's out there? And of course there's more life forms, you know. I don't again, like, these terms like aliens or God, like, I don't know if those are the correct terms of these things that we speak of. So we use these terms for lack of a better term, but whatever aliens are, you know, they exist. But we just don't know what they could be here right now. You know, I could be one, you could be one. So I'm certain they exist. I'm sure some of them walk amongst us, um, but we would never know until it's time. So our idea of what aliens are, you know, I don't think they're it's what they've shown us, like, on cartoons and stuff. But I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it talks to us about, like, timelines and stuff like that. Even though it's comic book stuff, they speak a lot about variants and different versions of ourselves on different timelines. And it's still us, but just a different version of us, you know?
Yeah.
A version of us that has veered off from the main timeline. Like, it's just, they touch a lot about that stuff. I think all of that stuff exists as well. Like, time is not linear. You know, there's something going on right now in front of us that we cannot see, just on a different plane. Like, you know, so I believe in all of those things as well. But some might hear that and think that that's ungodly. You know, they might think like, oh, you might not believe in God because you believe in that stuff or believe in aliens or whatever. But I think you can believe in whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure.
And sense of it, yeah.
Yeah, the mind's a crazy place. The mind can yeah, the mind, if you kind of, yeah, the mind is like this unlimited imaginative space that you can create almost anything. And I think society keeps placing barriers and placing restrictions on ourselves, on our own minds. And but the mind should be a beautiful place where you can create. And I'm sure you can speak into this because you create. I'm guessing you create on a daily basis many things. And yeah, maybe I'm. What does creation mean for you? I know it's a broad question, but yeah, what does it mean for you?
Our minds are expansive. Like, we're not meant to limit ourselves, you know, but like you were saying, like, society, they dumb us down. They want us to dumb ourselves down and to distract our brains. You know, our mind, there's this thing I say, like, our minds have a mind of its own. You know, this is like the fact that we can think is so incredible, but we don't acknowledge that because we think it's just so basic. Like, oh, I'm just alive. Like, you're alive. Like, you can think, like, you can speak, you can hear me right now. You know, we're speaking on this screen. Like, a decade ago, we weren't even able to do something, or 20 years ago. Like, things are not so just whatever, you know. Like, it's amazing to be alive and to be able to function the way that we do. So we do see, like, as clearly you have some awareness that, you know, society is, yeah, they're trying to dumb us down, and it's sad. But I do believe that we need to unblock, like, that limited way of thinking. Like, we have to have a limitless way of thinking, you know, especially when it comes to thinking about yourself and who you are. Like a lot of people tell themselves they can't do something. They can't do something. Like imagine telling yourself that. And most likely you're telling yourself that because you've heard people tell you that you cannot do something. And then you just become like this, like you're just limited. You've now limited yourself to your own capabilities because someone else has made you believe that you cannot do something. So I don't believe in that. I think that we need to free our minds, so to speak. I know that sounds corny. That's like a quote from The Matrix. Like that's Morpheus, free your mind. But there's a lot of messaging in that film series, on how you look at yourself and what you're actually capable of versus what you've been programmed to think that you're capable of. So creating is just another way of me. Like it's not what I do, it's who I am. I was born to be creative, and I accept that. And there are a lot of things on this planet that I don't know, and I'm okay with that, but I know what I know. And I know that the things that I know, there are people that don't know. So, like I don't believe in like, oh, there's like the smartest guy alive or a genius. Like that person is just knowledgeable in that area, in that thing. But I guarantee you there's something that that person does not know. And we have to be comfortable with saying things like that and be okay with being able to, coexist, What is real intelligence? What is real understanding and knowledge of self? So creating every day, like I look at everything as art, even the work that I do, just communicating with human beings and finding creative ways to address their issues and concerns. And you and I having a conversation, that's an art form, it's a lost art, in fact, because a lot of people don't know how to communicate. A lot of people think communication is just the verbal, but you have to also listen. And that's a part of communication. So I love to create, and I look at everything as art, and even challenges are art, like how am I going to maneuver around this one? How am I going to not allow myself to be frustrated and instead, use the situation to my advantage and come up with a creative way on how to deal with this or address the situation or address my emotions, my sadness, my anger, my disappointment. Let's get creative. Because there is no one way to just deal with something, like therapy is not the answer for everything. So yeah, you could express yourself through many ways and tools, So yeah.
Powerful stuff. And I wanted to ask you some specific advice. On planet Earth, I want to ask you some specific advice. And how do I improve my rap game? How do I improve my lingual dexterity and my ability to flow?
Well,
Can we get you on the podcast to do a bit of a freestyle? Is that something you'd be cool to do?
Why are you doing this to me?
Can you
Stop it.
Is that music coming through? Oh,
It is.
We in the flow now. Oh, I brought sand to my beach because my beach is better. I know you got some skills here.
It's too late for this, brother.
All right,
What
but we'll
time
say
is
that.
it over? What time is it over there?
It's 1:01 p.m.
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
Lucky you. Yeah, it's 11 p.m. over here.
So like my body clock is telling me it's all systems go right now, and like I think your body clock is almost shutting down. But maybe we can save it for podcast episode 2. Could we do it for podcast?
Please.
Yes,
I'll prepare.
All right.
I'll do a bunch of stuff. But I mean, if like we have YouTube now, so if people want to learn how to rap, they could just Google how to rap, and I'm sure some links will pop up. But like for me growing up, like poetry, I was really angry as a child, so, and I didn't have many people to speak about that anger, so I took to like pen and paper, And I didn't even realize that I was rhyming these things, you know, or this was poetry, like expressing my feelings on paper. It just became poetry, you know. And then like, you know, one day my grandmother found my words, and she looked at it and interpreted it as a suicidal note, you know. But really, it was just me writing out my feelings and my thoughts on paper, but I wasn't going to do anything to myself, you know. So I think, I don't know, I don't feel like rap or poetry is like something you should just wake up and roll over and do. Like, hopefully the art form is really in your heart, like something sparked it for you to express yourself through that art form, you know. And it's not just like a task or a job that you do, because that takes away from the art, the energy of the art form itself. So yeah.
Okay. Well said. Yeah.
I feel like you want to rap. I feel like you want to.
Nah, look, I'm a very mediocre at best.
What's your rap name? What's your rap name?
K Buddy.
Okay, buddy. Okay.
K Buddy.
I'm with you.
I just made that up on the fly. I'm gonna go down to Rye. I just made a tie. That's my best attempt at rapping. Please don't rate that or judge that, because I'm still a work in progress at the moment. So, but
No,
in all
we should
honesty
have.
though,
Yeah, go.
and also, in all honesty though, how good does it feel when you spit out, when you're flowing and words are coming out of your mouth, and it's just this energy. You just feel so empowered, you know, when you yeah, when things are just clicking and things are working well. It's just an enjoyable experience. I feel. Like I'm not a very good rapper, but when I put two sentences together, I feel like a boss. You know, I feel cool. Yeah.
Are you announcing an album release, like date? Like, is this?
Ah, well,
I'm gearing up for something. Like, I'm getting ready for. But even with podcasting, like when you hear yourself and you're like, oh, that's a successful episode. Like, I sound really good. Like, I conveyed my message the exact way I heard it in my head, or even better. Whether it's through podcasting or music, it's like, yeah, it's a fulfilling feeling, because it's like, it's almost surreal. Like, I just did that. Like, I put my voice on that music, I recorded it, and it sounds like that. Or I spoke with this guest, and that's the conversation we had. Wow, like, I'm learning from a conversation that I had with another person, that I'm learning more things now listening back to that episode than when I was in that moment having that conversation. Like, these are amazing things that should not be taken for granted, you know, like these nuances, like, of just, like, you know, just moments and experiences, and it's creativity. Our whole existence is creation. We were created. So who are we to not create? You know?
yeah. That's a powerful statement to make. Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'm just curious about yourself, and what's the next, I guess, where are you gonna step next? Which foot are you gonna what's your next move in life? What's your next play?
What is next? What I want, what I want to do is really just, I want to continue creating. I never want to stop. That's for sure. Not to sound like superficial or anything like that, but I do want to create, like, I want the Who and How Club, this thing that I created, to become bigger than just a podcast. You know what I mean? I want want to turn it into something that I could just give away, and then at some point like give it and then step away from it as it operates on its own. You know what I mean? I want to build it. I want to build it into something bigger than just a podcast or an event series or a blog or whatever. I want it to have its own legs where it walks and runs, and it's its own brand and its own, it gives back to the community, as a non-for-profit, let's say, like I just have all these ideas and these plans for myself, but it all revolves around creating and just being a better version of myself than I was a couple of days ago. And I'm trying to jump into the Lazarus pit so that I could forever look young, and just stay young and keep young people around me so that I continue to get inspired and just, steel sharpens steel. So I think having a lot of good people around you who have perspectives and ideas to keep you sharp and on your toes is important. And just surrounding yourself with like good energy and good people who want to see you succeed. So I'm building on stuff like that, and just building the movement, the who and how movement, and Arys as an artist and a creator. I'm not just a rapper or a podcaster or these other, I'm Arys first. I in fact, Arys is just my name, but I am who I am first, and then I create as well, so just expanding on all of those creative ideas that I've had, that I've already brought some to life, and now I'm ready to bring some more to life. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we may end the episode at that. And guys, I've got if you're watching, I've got the Arys, the Who and How Club. That's the podcast. If you want to check that out, and yeah, I guess that was a good final message to end on.
But Kristian,
sure
you gotta answer that question too. Like, what is next for Kristian? What is next for you? Like when you mentioned earlier about, like you being 30 now, and you're being, you're living your true self. You're you now, what does Kristian look like in like 5 years? Where is Kristian?
family, starting my own family, and really sacrificing everything to have a great family. And that's a goal that I've put down. That's it's not really a goal. It's more of it's a pathway. I call it a pathway. My pathway is to meet somebody that I haven't met, somebody that I've fallen in love with. I want to meet someone that I can fall in love with, and start a family. That's my next step in life. And I don't want to force that too much, because I know if you kind of force things in life, they don't. I want it to be organic, but I want to work towards it somehow. I don't know if that makes sense. I want to work towards it, but I don't want to force it. So, that's my next step. Yeah, to answer the question.
Now that you're 30, do you feel like there's because I know you mentioned you don't want to force it, but I know deep down in our minds sometimes we have this image of what things should look like, and what we want things to happen when we want it to happen. Being 30 now, do you feel like there's some sort of not a rush, but like, are you really eager for that to happen? Like, what if you're 36 and you're not there? Whatever you just said that you want. Would that make you feel like you have failed at all, or like you're falling behind, or you're running out of time, kind of thing?
Yes, it would. It would. I'm not gonna lie. It would make me feel like that. Yes.
You're killing me. I like
yes.
that. I like that. True honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like my time on planet Earth is very limited, very finite. If I'm 80 years old, I've got 50 years left. So I've got 50 years left of living this beautiful life. So I guess, look, I don't want to put this rush or this, but in the deep recesses of my own mind, there is a clock there. There is it is there. And some people don't like to think of that clock, but I remind myself of the clock. And yeah, that's it's there. It's not I have to acknowledge that it is there. So
But is it there because you've placed it there? Because you want that thing to happen so badly, right? At a certain point, like you want to get to a stage where it happens when you want it to happen. So have you placed that clock there?
yes, I probably have I have probably superficially placed that clock there, just to kind of speak to the universe and speak to make it materialize it. I want to
Yes.
materialize it. It's because
Manifest. You're manifesting it.
I want to
Manifest.
manifest it. Yeah, because at the moment it's just in my mind, and I need to take it from my mind to reality. And there's certain things that I need to do in order for that to happen. So
And
yeah.
are those things self-based, like working on yourself kind of thing? Or what are those things?
Uh it's financial, it's self-development, it's spiritual, it's
Mm.
certain things, yeah, that need to come together, and then once they all come together, uh it'll make this thing a lot easier. This pathway will be a lot easier to go down.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Is it easy meeting women in Australia? Because I might want to come over there, man.
Is it easy meeting? Well, yes and no. I mean,
Or
it's easy to
are you an
it's
online guy?
no, I love the real world, you know, and I love the real world, and I feel like this is a bit of a problem because we're going down this online fake superficial world of filters and all this bullshit. And you know, I like to just say hello to people in the street. I'll just say hello to people in the street. You know, that homeless person that washes your car. You know, today I gave him $5 to wash my car because I want to connect with this guy. And I said hello to him and I gave him $5. And, you know, it's all about human connection ultimately, you know, and I love to connect with people. And yeah, I think
But do you
to
feel,
answer, I was going to say,
go, go.
to answer your question, I would say it's easy to meet women, but it's not easy to meet the right woman. You have to meet the right person. I think it's way more difficult to meet the right person.
Let's
And
do an exchange program. You replace me over here, I'll come over there. And I think we'll have different because it's getting rough over here, man. I need a change of scenery. I think you do too.
ah, man, I would love to come
The
over there. I
online
would love
thing,
to.
the online
Yeah,
thing is like, yeah, it's a lose-lose, I feel on that. And if you're a person like yourself or even myself who likes the human and the face-to-face, right? Like nothing will ever beat that. But most of the people that exist now, like they're distracted, man. Like they think that that's actually the right way to be connected with someone, like to connect with someone when really it's in person. So people are really confused right now as to what that is supposed to look like, you know? Like
yeah,
sometimes I wish I grew up like in back in the day where like you would just go to a grocery store and you just fall in love and you stay married with that same person for forever. Like I wish I grew up in that time, you know?
yeah. I think there's a element of um, I think anxiety is a buzzword at the moment. I've never really understood what anxiety is because
Hmm.
I just don't understand what it is. But I think that this anxiety holds us back from interacting with other people. And
Mm.
when you're in your heart space, when you're so far in your mind, so far in your in the belief that other people are beautiful, that you're not scared to talk to other people because you feel like,
Mm.
hey, this is just another brother, this is just another sister. Like I can say hello to this person because, you know, like why should I be scared for? You know, this just say hello. Like what's so scary about saying hello? You know, so I mean,
People
yeah,
fear and anxiety, they're synonymous, you know? Like They're like a tag team, especially nowadays. Especially nowadays, like you said, anxiety is this trigger, this word, right? Like people don't even know how to define it or know that they have it, first of all, or what that looks like. But the fear plays a part where it's like it prevents you from connecting with someone on a real level, making new friends even, or it's just people, I don't know, man. But meanwhile, you have like 100 messages on this and you're able to text anybody you want, right? There's no fear in this. But to see each other, to say hello is like, it's people find that hard to even fathom, that thought. So we're just in a weird space. I actually hope the aliens come very soon and do something with whatever we got going on over here, because we need a reset.
Man, for sure. We need a reset, man. Nah, but I mean, look, I guess, yeah. I mean, look, sending peace and love. I mean, this is just kind of where we're at, and I think I'm an optimist. I always believe that the human race is on the upwards. We're always going upwards, and I think we're always on an upwards trajectory. We're never going like this Corona crap. It's just an obstacle, just like this technical issue that we had at the start. It's just an obstacle, but as the human race, we will get through this, and I think there will be a great future for us. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. I'm not that cynical, but still, there's some things that need to I just feel like there's some things that need to change, because I feel like we're getting into a vicious, like we're disconnecting from not only each other, but ourselves even. So we need to catch ourselves now before it gets worse, like what's next, Instagram, we have all these apps, but what's next? There's always something new that comes out that traps us even more, and we get distracted and we get discouraged and we feel insecure based on the imagery that is being presented to us. So we change ourselves physically when we're still the same effed up person anyway, emotionally and mentally. So you're not even happy with who you are and your makeup. And it's just scary, brother. It's scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah, that Instagram, it kind of, it makes you feel insecure in that comparison mode. It's just a game that the mind plays effectively. But like you mentioned a really cool thing there. You mentioned disconnect, and I recently went out to, there's a place in Australia called Mount Riddle Creek, and I went there with my
Mount
friend.
Riddle Creek?
Mount Riddle Creek,
Okay.
and I went there with my friend, and we had no phone reception. We had and we literally in the middle of nowhere, and it was silent. And I'm not sure if I'm not sure if you've been in silence before, but or like this silence was scary. Like it was actually eerie silence, and we weren't connected to anywhere. It was just me and my best mate, and we were just out, and uh, like uh, yeah, like we were disconnected. And I think more people need to disconnect in life. Just get off the radar, get off that that system. Uh,
And
yeah.
I'm happy to hear that like you got to experience that. I'm jealous of that because it's been a while since I've been able to do that, but I enjoy that. Like I used to be in a relationship where like that's another thing. Like if I find another woman, another partner in some time in the near future, like she has to be on the same page with stuff like that. Cause like, but not for me to convince her to do that. Like, I hope she just does that on her own, where like she's not afraid to leave her phone in the car while we go and explore the city together or explore nature, leave the phones at home while we go camping. Like, I want to meet someone who has that same mentality because I have that. I'm not afraid to leave my phone at home. I'm not afraid to forget it on purpose or stray away from it, but like, it's such an accessory. It's like people are it's like your identity now, you know? So if we're going back to like the relationship talk, I hope that, you know, I meet someone, and hopefully you do too, that is someone who is not so obsessed with this, and this doesn't define her or him or whoever, like we have to disconnect. We have to go into nature, and we have to just embrace the silence and the nature, the sounds of nature. Like that's how you actually recharge yourself. Like throughout your week, you're drained because you're interacting with so many other people. You're going to work, you're doing this 9 to 5 thing, you're working for somebody else, whatever. But if you just went into nature like once a week, you get to recharge yourself naturally. I talk to trees. Like touch trees, touch a tree, go sit next to a tree and see what happens. You know what I mean? Climb a tree and see what happens, see the type of feeling you get. Go sit by the water and hear the waves, and that's nature speaking with you, not to you, with you. And if you just close your eyes and embrace that, you'll gain perspective of, you're a part of that. You're a part of that functioning of nature, But this technology is disconnecting us from that. So just, yeah, I hope you meet someone that is open to stuff like that as well,
So do I. Yeah, well, well, look, I might finish the episode there. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and
Yes, yes.
wish all the best for your future. And
Thank you.
yeah, I'm
You
sure
as
you'll
well,
meet.
Christian. Yeah.
Thank you.
What'd you say? You're sure
I'm
what?
sure you'll find the right person for you to go and disconnect and yeah, I'm sure you'll find that. I'm sure both of us will find the perfect person. So yeah, sending those good vibes, those positive vibes out, and
Oh,
yeah,
they're aliens, right? They're aliens. No, the women
yeah,
you and I want, our partners, whoever we're gonna meet, they're not from here.
they're not from here.
They're on their way. They're on their way.
Well, yeah, well, so I don't know what to say. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It'll be a good experience. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Christian,
guys,
I appreciate
yeah,
you having me on today's show. We're gonna talk to you about like getting on the Who and How Club as well, and keep this conversation going and stuff like that. So we'll definitely connect offline for that stuff.
no worries. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for listening. All the best. Thank you.